My name is Brandon, and over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram lab-tested, all-natural, water-soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, and your delight when you need it most.
Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Hi, my name is Gavin Kerr.
My name is Brandon Croucher.
And you're watching Java Delight.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell.
Enjoy the show. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today? My name is Gavin Kerr, and I'm joined with Brandon Croucher. How you doing, Brandon?
I am wonderful. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. I had a really great night. I feel nice and refreshed. I almost pissed myself laughing multiple times throughout the night.
You and I had fun with that this morning, talking about that. I wish we could show the pictures. You could explain the game, but we cannot show the pictures.
Yes. So I went to the DJ company that I work for. I went to my boss's house for a game night with coworkers and friends, and we played. First, we played bingo, which got very out of hand very quickly. Just screaming at each other and throwing things. We had some hardcore bingo going on. We played a game that we're going to be playing later today, actually, which is Family Feud. We're going to do some Family Feud today for you guys. And then we also played this game. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like Pictionary mixed together with telephone. And basically, one person writes down a thought or an idea or a phrase, and the next person to their left draws it. And then the next person to the left tries to write down what they think that person drew. And it just keeps going around in a circle. And it changed, pardon me. And the message and the picture change over time. Okay. One example was we had one where it was supposed to be, I think, like Star Wars is what it was. Yeah, come to the dark side is what it was, the first picture or the phrase. And then this person drew a picture of a moon and a sun and cookies. And then, because of the meme, come to the dark side, we have cookies.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, the next person saw that picture and wrote down something about elves baking cookies for the dark times and gave them to the orcs. And so I drew Lord of the Rings. And then it ended up being Lord of the Ring. I drew it pretty descriptively, so it ended up being Lord of the Rings for the rest of it. The person to my right drew he wrote down something about, have you tried the minivan, beep, beep. I don't know what the hell that means, but he and one other person at the table were just completely tickled by it. And so I drew a minivan and a guy pointing at it, winking to another person with a confused look on their face. have you tried the minivan? And that ended up going around the table to vehicular fornication is what it ended up being drawn out as, with a gentleman just really enjoying the tailpipe of this minivan.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
like I said, we can't show the drawings of these.
No, and then there was my card, which I really wish that I can't even tell you what it was.
Nope.
But
No.
three of us were in tears laughing at the horrendous, blasphemous, just offensive in every way sin that I wrote on this card that I had to watch my boss draw.
I mean, at that moment, he's not your boss. He's an acquaintance at that moment. He's a friend.
Yeah.
But it's still awkward for what you picked. Like, guys,
the entire time he was saying, I hate you. I hate you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're a horrible person. You're going to hell in every level.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, what you wrote, I don't even know how to like, I've had some weird ones that have been difficult to draw, but like what you picked was absolutely hysterically hard to draw. I would not have been able to do it. Like here, I'll give one part. Blind children. Like, I don't know how you draw blind children. Like, I'm sitting there and he's like, you have to have blind children in certain parts. And like, he does this and I'm picturing in my head how I would draw it. And then he starts showing me everybody's drawings. Oh my gosh. I was laughing and I wasn't even there. I was not even there. Oh, that was too funny.
Oh my God. That was so good. I haven't laughed that much since I was 8 years old. I was on the ground. I was on the ground just rolling around, holding my stomach, and it was my throat hurt and my cheeks. Like, even now, like I feel like I worked out my face. Like I did like a P90X with my face muscles. They're just so sore from all the smiling I did last night.
I have to be honest, that is probably the best way I've heard that in ever. My face is sore. I haven't worked my face out like that. Like, oh my gosh. That's funny. So guys, it is Java Delight. You have Gavin Kerr here, the wonderful, handsome, beautiful DJ Kerr, DJ Gavin, aka Marky Mark's twin. Do you know who Marky Mark is?
I do know who Marky Mark is, which is why I'm confused that you said twin. I don't think I look like Marky Mark, do I?
You don't, but he's known for being like attractive and nice. So I just was trying to compliment you. But guys, we are at 240. Not you're welcome, buddy. You're a great guy. You're a catch. You are a catch. And that's the thing. It goes along with what we're talking about today. Our guest today is Mr. Tim Keller, and he has Tim Kellis on today, which apparently Jessica Dugas is super excited about. She literally just sent me a text going, oh my God, you have Tim Kellis on today. He's awesome. Interviewed him a couple months ago. His will air later this season on mine. So Jessica Dugas getting her breakthrough moment in here as well, guys. She's still sick. COVID hit her family really hard. They've been going through it. So good vibes to her, positive energy to her. But he's coming on, and his whole thing is about relationships. He wrote a book. It's called Equality, and it focuses on helping people get through a breakup. His groundbreaking book as a Wall Street analyst and author, he takes a journey through a time to not only help rediscover yourself, but to understand how to build and keep lifelong, happy, healthy, harmonious, loving, affectionate, intimate marriage. Whew, that was a sentence. Let me tell you.
I feel like I should have put a beat to that.
When I read it later, you're gonna do that. Just give me a beat. Just so that Gavin drop the beat, y'all, and I'll turn it into a rap.
There's gonna be a lag.
I'll make it work. I'm a professional rapper. Eminem used to take tips from me before he made 8 Mile.
Oh, really?
No, not a chance.
Yeah, what's his rap name? Skittles?
Actually, yes. That was a joke, but it's funny. That's the one you pick because he was Eminem. So we always joked, oh, what would you be? Skittles? And I was like, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Oh, I remember those Reese's Pieces. Those were good. Candy sucks now, man. Like now that I got braces, I ate some of those M&Ms with the peanut butter in them last night. I'm like, it's just not the same. They're difficult to eat.
I can get that. I get that.
Yeah, pizza's still good. I can't eat the crust, but everything else is good.
Have you had stuff get caught in your teeth yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I know you did.
It gets caught like right above the braces, between the braces and my gums. So I got to clean those. I got to make sure I clean those out. Yeah, because since my cheeks and everything, like the flesh is like right there against them. Yeah, stuff won't come down, so I got to make sure that I clean it out. But I'm really good about cleaning and brushing right after I eat and all that stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, it's actually pretty satisfying.
So you want to do our hellos? I mean, we don't have our huge audience yet, but guess what? I love the people that are here. They're here to spread positivity, joy, excitement. They're good people, and it's Tuesday. We still have 4 more days this week to get through before
only Tuesday.
Don't even get me started.
Okay. We got this. We can do it. I believe in us.
But, buddy, we are at 249 subscribers. We are 51 away from our goal of 300 by the end of the month. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, share. Help us hit our 300. The Delight Cafe, Digital Cafe is up here booming. We're wanting to do great things.
Let me check something. What day is today? Today's the 20th. Ooh, that's weird. I'm getting a call all of a sudden.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Uh-oh. Go ahead, answer it. I'll say hi to the guests. I'll mute you.
Hello?
Hi, Gavin. How are you? Oh, yeah, I didn't want to talk to you either. Yeah, that's right. Hang up on me. Yeah, never mind. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Jessica Dugas, it's so good to see you here. I know you can't be live, but sending you good vibes, good energy, good love, good appreciation. Making daily progress. Sherry McQueen, what a great hello to her this morning. How is everyone? That's very sweet of you checking in on her and the kids and making sure that everybody is able to be well. CK Ford, one of my favorite human beings. She just brings about a light of energy, and it's always good to hear her, see her name, hear her stories, and just connect with CK. That look Gavin's giving me is interesting. We'll have him back in a second. Brian Tracy, it's good to see you, my friend. I'm not sure where you're at this morning, but I hope you're doing well and safe travels. And then the rest of them are just Gavin and I. It's the girl from the Philippines calling, Gavin.
Oh, no, it's not. But that's funny you brought her up. I like that. I like to know that people remember things. It was Stacy calling about my car insurance payment. Every damn time they call me, I don't know why. They call me to talk about how they can have my car insurance lowered by hundreds of dollars, and I tell them, oh, my insurance is like $80 or $60 a month because I drive a piece of shit. And it costs nothing to fix. In all honesty, the shoes that I'm wearing probably cost more than the car. And I tell them that, and this is what I would say, because I'm on the show right now, so I'm not going to run them through a loop. But usually when I have some spare time, I dick them around for a minute. I'm all like, oh, well, I don't really pay a whole lot of anything. So if you're going to save me hundreds of dollars when I don't even pay $100, wouldn't that mean you owe me money? And they go, well, that's something we can talk about with your insurance agent. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's all right. Have a great day.
Talk to the insurance agent, because the insurance agent that I already have and deal with, you want me to call so you could get me a savings and not answer my question? If you're going to save me hundreds and I'm barely spending hundreds a year, like, you know,
I can just give you my address. You can just send me checks in the mail. That's fine, too. We can work that out.
So CK Ford said she'd take Jake from State Farm. He is hot. So here's my question. Which Jake? There's two of them.
There's two
Jakes. So you have the original Jake, which was the like white dude with the fro. And he's sitting there and he goes, what are you wearing, Jake? Khakis. And then they switched it to the more modern guy, who he is attractive. He's in shape. He's not overweight in any way. He's African-American. And we all know African Americans are absolutely the sexiest race right now in every way. And I mean that because he really epitomizes that. Like he is attractive.
Isn't Elon Musk African American, technically?
South African American.
Oh, how specific are we getting with this?
I have no idea. Yes.
Fine. What city is he in?
Right now, I don't know.
Or
He's
what
from
city?
South
What city is he from?
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod. So he's a Cape Cod American. That's what you're saying.
Cape Cod, South
African American.
Yes. Elon is a Doge American. Very true, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Rob comes in with the savior. He is a Doge American.
Yes.
Speaking
Rob,
of which,
not only does he come in as the savior to here, he comes to my karaoke shows.
Yeah. Where does he live?
I don't know, actually.
Rob, do me a favor. Let us know where you live. What city are you living in? Because I live about an hour away from karaoke, and I don't karaoke. So
40 minutes away.
40 minutes to get to the highway. Jessica Dugas says he's from Cape Town. Cape Cod is in Massachusetts in the U.S. Yeah, I said Cape Town. Cape Cod is like Boston.
Oh, I said Cape Cod because I thought you said Cape Cod, and then I started thinking about the chips that I have that I can't eat because of the goddamn braces.
No. Oh, he's in Middleburg Heights. What the heck? You mean like not even a mile from Gavin and living in the same city? Middleburg Heights, Berea, and Brook Park share a high school. So that means he can literally like ride a bike to you. Like
Oh, I love you, Rob. Thank you so much.
What did he say? But even you know what, Rob?
Thank you, Rob. Rob and his family come. He's wonderful people, beautiful family. They come to teams every Saturday and they hang out with me.
Right? Like I think that's a fun thing. Oh, is this one of the families I saw the one time I went?
I don't know. Oh no, that was at Tony K's.
Oh, that's right. It was Tony K's. They go to teams.
Yeah, they go to teams.
He brings his whole family. What is Rob's karaoke song? Does he have a song that he likes to sing religiously?
Oh, no, they don't sing either, but they do show up.
So, moving on that one. Like, I don't know where to go with that. Like you left me hanging there on that one. I'm like, wait. Like, Gavin Press, Brandon's loving dog equals heart. That's Mike. He knows I'm putting my dog down today. It's been the 10 days. So it's after the show. I gave her breakfast this morning, and instead of dog food, since I know it's her last meal, I cooked her up a steak and chopped it all up really small. And I was making the joke to my mom. I'm like, well, do I have to put the medicine in her food today? Because technically she's not going to need it after this. And Mom was like, just do it anyways. Don't add to her anxiety. And she knows something's up. I'll tell you that. Like, she does know something's up. She's been giving us looks. I woke up this morning and she sleeps in my bed and she was curled up hugging me. And so it's one of these things where doing the right thing and knowing it is great. But doing the right thing and not feeling the anxiety of it, the emotion behind it, especially after all the hard work, it's like a marriage, like for real. Like your pet is a representation of you, and she's come such a long way. She's come, they know.
The dogs. Yeah, dogs are smart. Like, I'll tell you what. He likes to think he's dumb. He likes to act like he's dumb. But I know Dakota speaks English. I know he understands it. When I look at him and I say an actual sentence to him, I know he knows what I mean because he looks at me and I can see it in his damn eyes. I can see it and he's comprehending it.
So, are you karaokeing tonight? Before I forget, because Mike's trying to convince me that tonight I should head out to his house, and he lives right in Middleburg Heights as well.
So tonight I'm actually doing trivia in Twinsburg at the basement. I'm doing
in Twinsburg?
Yes.
That's a drive for you, buddy.
No, it's like 30 minutes.
480. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I know which way you're headed. I was like, what? No, you got to go. Oh, nope. That's me.
Yep. Tonight and tomorrow I'm doing trivia nights. I picked up a couple nights, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday is when I do karaoke.
Gotcha. But no, today's just going to be one of those days, and I've already had the emotionalness behind it. That doesn't mean there won't be tears. It's just difficult, and knowing that I'm doing the right thing for the dog, as bad as it sounds, like even the person that she bit doesn't really want her to be put down, but it's the fact that the way she did it, it's unsafe, and sometimes it's like cutting yourself loose, like cutting off your unneeded stuff. And I love this dog, and I know this is the right thing. Just a long day.
I have a snake that's great with cuddles.
No, I'll just answer that very easily. I am not a snake person, but I appreciate you very much.
I got a rabbit. You want this rabbit? It's super soft, sweet. Its name is Snowball, or whatever the hell you want it to be.
Does anybody else hear the tone change in that one? You came off like a used car salesman there. You're like, I have a rabbit.
Yeah, I got a rabbit. Yeah, you want a rabbit?
Rabbit. Yeah.
Come on, kid. Come buy the rabbit. Hey, tell you what, if you get the rabbit right now, I'll throw in a free water bottle for you, all right? A free water bottle. You get the water, you get the cage, and you know what? I'll even drive it to you. I will drive this rabbit to your house right now with brand new bedding in the cage, and a packet of that, and then half a bale of hay. That is like $100 deal that I'm just gonna give to you out of the kindness of my heart, because you know what, Brandon, I know you're going through a struggle right now, and I just love you very much. You're a great friend of mine, and I just want to make sure that you are taken care of. And I know that you're gonna love this rabbit more than anybody else in the world. So please, would you like to take this rabbit home with you today?
On second thought, that invitation was not for Gavin. Jessica Dugas. As much as I would love to have your rabbit and raise it, I partially think that it's just a pre-appetizer for you wanting me to take the snake too.
No. I just want somebody to get rid of this. I just want this rabbit out of my house.
Whose pet was this again? Before I forget,
it was Jeffrey's pet, and then I got stuck with it, and then it was Crystal's pet for like 2 weeks, and then I got stuck with it, and now apparently it's going to be Alina's pet when she moves in, which I'm sure eventually I'll get stuck with again.
Did you see CK Ford said you could send it to Jessica Dugas? They could have bunny friends, and she already has one.
Jessica and her husband they're already rabbits on their own.
They wouldn't know who's going to be like who humps more, the rabbits or the Dugases. Like that's what people be asking. Oh, Phil Big D? No, it's the bunny's Big D. Like the bunny Big D Dugas. Like that'd be what it'd be at that house now. Sorry, I just kind of ran there.
That's actually a perfect idea, though, because when one of her kids gets sick of this damn thing, which they will, they can just pass it on to one of the other kids.
Have you ever had a pet that you just... the only reason I'm saying no to your rabbit is I've had a rabbit. I need a warning if there's kids present. All I said was humping. I'm glad I didn't say any F words. Jeez, we're close on that one. Sorry, Jess. But have you ever had a pet? Because my only rabbit I've ever owned was the meanest SOB. Meanest SOB. And it turned me off from ever wanting another rabbit. And then people have said, what about a ferret? I know multiple people that have had ferrets. All of them were not able to keep the ferret its whole life. They had to get rid of it because the thing just destroyed things. It bit people. It was bad. These are two pets that I just have avoided. Snakes, obviously. I'm just not a snake person.
Yeah.
Tarantula wouldn't do. What is a pet you you just would not want? Do you have any of this?
Probably this bloody rabbit. No, for the longest time, I had a very, very, very big phobia of rats. And
I had a pet rat. I love rats.
Yeah. I've gotten over it over the years. Like I've like really like sat myself down and worked on it, and I've gotten over it. Honestly, I'm not crazy about the cats.
I'm sorry, I read this comment that just came in so wrong. It caught me off guard. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the cats.
I love cats.
I've never been a cat person. I've tried to be a cat person. I've tried hard too. Like other people's cats, my own cats. Like I just really don't enjoy this animal. You know, it scratches, it tears things up, it pricks me with its damn claws. I don't believe in declawing. I think that's messed up. You shouldn't do that. And then the meowing, I don't like, especially if they spray. That's another issue. Like, and then they also. The whole having to earn your love thing irritates me with pets. The earning your trust thing, I understand. That I can respect with an animal. But the earning your love thing pisses me off because I feed you, I water you, I give you shelter, I own you. Like, you need to have Stockholm Syndrome. Be a dog. All right? Yeah.
There you go. I want to get a cat. Now we're talking. So Sherry McQueen says she'll take a cat. Jessica Dugas says that if the rabbit was mean, did you have it in a cage? I lived in an apartment, so yes. And I think that really was it, because when we put him outside, it took him a few minutes, but like, man, did he enjoy roaming around the house or roaming around the outside. I just didn't have enough space for him, I guess. You could get a hamster or a pretty bird. Pretty bird.
If I'm getting a bird, it's going to be a bird of prey, so it can fly with me while I'm on my motorcycle. I've already been over this. And then, yes, caca. And that's how he's gonna talk. It's gonna fly. It's gonna land on my shoulder. It's gonna have pecs on its pecs, and it's just gonna go caca.
Touche. Okay. So I love how Gavin's view in this is so like I like, honestly, buddy. I want to make a video of this. Driving down the road, get your motor running.
It could be a cartoon, yeah.
Gavin's on the highway, looking up at his hawk. All they want to say, hawk! Hey, 5 life points for me on that one, because that was a good one. Sherry McQueen made a great point right here. There's your issue, my dear. You do not own a pet, sweetie. They are your companion. 100%. I actually, like, the pet becomes
I own this rabbit. It's not my companion. It's not my buddy. I own it.
There's a difference with the
if it was up to me, Sherry, it would be dinner tonight. But my mother said no. So
Gavin. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the next episode of Gavin and the Falcon.
Yes. On this episode, we're gonna eat the rabbit that I own.
No. We can't put that. Look up Leon the Bunny on YouTube.
It says Lennon.
I was reading it while trying to pull it up really quickly, so I didn't see the whole spelling. Sorry. Lennon the Bunny on YouTube. Okay, we'll have to look that up. Right this second, I'm kind of going to be doing other things, but yeah, I'll look that up. Gavin, our guest today, let's jump into this really quick so everybody doesn't go anywhere, and we talk to them about who he is. His name is Tim Kellis.
I thought it was just Tim for a second. Like, his name's Tim. Okay.
His name's Tim. We don't give him a last name. He didn't want
Tim.
one. Hey, Tim. Nice to meet you, Tim. Finally, the breakthrough you have been looking for in the groundbreaking book by Wall Street analyst Tim Kellis. He takes you on a journey through time, not only to help you discover yourself, but understand how to build and keep building a lifelong, healthy, harmonious, loving, affectionate, intimate marriage. Woo-hoo! So he's teaching us about positive relationships, and he's going to be talking to us about she's shaking her head. Do you know how many people come on like shows and their last name is not how it's spelled? Like, if I mess up somebody's last name, I should have like a thing that comes in with their last name of the proper spelling. Like, not just having me guess for each one, because they're all over the world.
If we had a nickel for every time you mispronounce somebody's name, we wouldn't have to find investors for Delight.
Wait, say that again.
If we had a nickel for every time that you messed up somebody's name, we
Oh my
wouldn't
God.
need to find investors for Delight.
I'd have a much more successful company. I mess up
Yes.
people's names all the time, and Jessica likes to point out all of my mistakes everywhere I go. I get text messages randomly through the show. I'm not shaking my head at that. I'm shaking my head at I'm kind of busy right now. I'm on air. You're commenting to me, and I'm like, how do I go and just like find a random video? I don't know which one to watch. Send it to me, Jessica. That way I can just click the link on YouTube.
What am I looking up? Lennon?
I don't know. I apparently can't read, so I don't know. I could spell it to you. FYI, I'm not trying to convince B to come here. He is trying to convince himself not to. He is kind of right. It's more along the lines of I don't want to drive. I really just don't want to drive that far. And like, it's nothing against you, Mike. The drive gets to me because then at the end of the night, like it's like that, like every week I'm driving back and I have a hour-long drive home, 45 minutes. So for me, it's just one of those things where it's like end of the day when I want to just crash. I was commenting.
It's a bunch of videos on how to take care, or 12 things rabbit love most. How to free roam your rabbit indoors. Yeah, not gonna do that. If I do, it's gonna get eaten by the dog or the cats or both. But thank you. I'll pass that channel on to the new owner when I find him.
I thought that. So is that channel supposed to be one that teaches people
how to write? Yeah, it's about teaching you about having a pet rabbit.
I was hoping it would be something like the rabbit did tricks or something, like came out of a hat, like. You know, it's the magician's sidekick, but it does the magic. No,
I like that.
That would be an attention grabber.
I thought it would be animated for some reason. I think I was thinking about the Falcon still.
Where do you even get a falcon? I don't even know where I'd get a falcon to be. But then again, I don't know where I'd get a penguin.
Online. They're like...
You can buy a penguin online or a falcon online.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they range from like $800 to $1,300.
I believe you. I'm just looking this up. I want you to start talking about bad relationship breakups because that's what our guest is coming on to talk about today. And I am the king of those. I'm going to switch that really quick because bad relationships are one thing and you and I both know how to handle that. But like, have you ever been on a horrible date where all you want to do is run away and not pay? I've had that a couple of times. I paid.
I had one date that was very uncomfortable.
Where are you going, Jessica? Where are you going? This is your segment time. And I think I just lost Gavin. I think he froze.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Okay. She's leaving now because she's picking on me and I respond back and then like is like, nope, I'm gone. F Brandon. Right?
Cool.
You too, Jess. Have a great day. All
Hi,
right,
Jess.
so
We love you.
We do love you.
But I had a date that we went to go see a movie. I was younger at the time, and she was definitely older at the time than me. We went to go see a movie. Halfway through, like probably like 20 minutes into the movie, we're like, this movie sucks. We ended up going back to her house. We started talking and hanging out, and then other things. And then after other things, she started to drink wine. A lot of wine. And it got to the point where we were talking, watching movies, and she would remember a new movie while watching the movie we were, and then she would change it to that movie. So I saw 10 minutes of 12 different movies that day, which was really weird. And then as she continued to drink wine, because she was about 10 years older than me. I want to say I was 18 or 19 at the time. Mm-hmm. And so she was about 28, 29. And as she continued to drink wine and we're cuddling on the couch, watching 15 different movies at once, she would look over at me and she'd do this. do you think I'm crazy? What? You must think I'm annoying, don't you? Do you think I'm crazy, though? Like, oh, I hope you don't. And I'd tell her, like, no, I don't. And then 10 minutes would pass. And she changed the movie. And then a couple minutes later, but seriously, do you think I'm crazy? Like, and she just kept doing that. And by, like, the sixth time in my mind, I'm thinking, you might be a little crazy. Absolutely, yeah. She tried to get me to stay the night. And thankfully, my phone was almost completely dead. It was on like 5%. And I started like, I'm sorry, I need to go. I need to go get a charger from the gas station so I can get home. Because I don't know how to get home from here. I'm like an hour and a half away from my house right now. Sorry, I'll have to stay another night. So that was a weird one. And she did end up messaging me the next day saying, hey, sorry, I had a bit too much to drink. Hopefully it wasn't too uncomfortable for you. And then we did go on, we did try like a second date, and it just was not working. But that's probably like the only date where I was like, yikes. Because she drank a bottle of wine and then kept asking me if I thought she was crazy while staring very intensely into my eyes.
I have nothing. I did have a drunk date once. She pre-gamed before the date, which always threw me off. Like, why would you need to pre-game before a date? But she and I did not get along well, and that's because she was obliterated drunk. She ordered a ton of food, and at the restaurant to the waitress goes, well, even if I have leftovers, it's his job to pay for it. Like, I was flabbergasted. Yeah, and she was drinking sake like it was like water, just chugging it. Yeah. It's probably one of the worst experiences for a first date ever, but the worst part is I wouldn't even give it a top 3 worst dates ever, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah.
For real. Like, and that is what like fascinates me, is how I could have that many bad first dates. I've had some where it's just been interesting. I've had some where it's like, well, what the F? I think
that was my only bad date, actually.
I did online dating for a few years, and let me just tell you this: online dating sucks.
All I've done is online dating.
Yeah, online dating sucks. Everybody there sucks.
No, you just got to be patient.
I don't. Yeah. You do have to be patient. I agree with you on that. But like the online,
but it's like playing poker. You got to play for a while before you get a winning hand. It's a lot of folding.
Yeah, but you have to make sure you can afford to fold that much. Because when you pick out the wrong one and you think you have a good hand, all of a sudden you might be having to bet a lot more than you really wanted to. You might have to be putting more money into something than you really thought you were going to. Because I've had times where I've had dates where I drove like far and we'd eat at this expensive restaurant and blah, blah, blah. And I always pay. It's just you're supposed to pay on the first date. In my house.
I always pay the first date, and then we switch back and forth after that. We go Dutch.
And I have no problem. It's something that should be talked about with your partner before you get into it, all that. But like for me, I literally was like, I went to pay, and I cannot tell you. I've had people. I must be a horrible first date because I've had people literally on our first date get their food to go and be like, I'll call you, and then disappear, and I never see them again.
What?
I had one girl actually pick up the waiter once on a first date.
Wow.
Ooh, I hope Jess, I know if you're not watching, I hope you're okay. She just texted me. I said, hey, are you okay? I saw you say you have a great day, everyone. And she just wrote me back. She needed to lay down. Go rest. Good vibes. Love you.
Yeah. She picked up the waiter.
Oh, dude, it was actually fun for me because the waitress that I was wanting to pick up was technically the girlfriend to the waiter that she was trying to pick up. So we made it more of a game. You simply had assholes first dating. And I agree. CK Ford, I 100% agree. I've had asshole first dates, but the thing is, I think that that's what happens with online dating. Now, Gavin, you're 21,
Yeah.
online dating, it's been around since before you were born.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But for part of my 10 years of being out there dating and that, online dating, girls, like, there's women that it's their full-time job to go on dates. Like, they will be on 5 different dating apps. They go out, they get free food, free drinks. And if a guy did that, people think it's all wrong. And I'm like, but why? Like, especially if he can afford it. For me, I don't want to meet somebody who's doing their job, because then I feel like I'm dating an escort or taking an escort out to dinner with no happy ending, let me add. And for that, I just sit there and I say, yesterday I had an epiphany to myself. I was sitting down and I was writing, "Aw, you're a great person." So Spirit just eliminated.
What's your go-to first date?
Mine?
Yeah. What's your go-to first date?
I read the person. I listen to what they're saying, and I find out. So, like, if I'm talking to somebody,
No. Like, what do you do?
I plan a date that would be fun for both of us. That would be along the lines of something they're interested in. So, like, if I'm talking to somebody and they say they like hiking, I'll pick a really cool hiking spot that I know they haven't been to by asking them stuff, and then just bring things for them to, like, you know, nibble on and drink and water and stuff like that. If they say they're really nervous on first dates, I'll make it where it's a comfortable thing, and we'll go to a cafe. We'll get a cup of coffee and just sit, talk, get to know each other. If it's someone that I've talked to, because I had one girl, we talked for 4 years and never met in person. Never. And you could say I was catfished, and the truth is maybe I was, but she did a great job at it, because we literally met on Tinder and talked for years as we were both driving in our cars. Somebody else was driving, and we're just on Tinder matching and not matching people. Never lived in the same state, never had any friends in common, but we matched on Tinder, and anytime one of us was single, we'd randomly text the other person, and if they responded, we would start talking again. If not, we moved on. That way they didn't, like, they found somebody. I haven't reached out to her in any way, but I think it's funny how you can have somebody like that in your life. Like, I never even took her on a date, but for me and her, if I was to take her on a date, I would know that taking her to like an Indians game or a Browns game or an Ohio State game, because she's a huge college football fan, I would take her there. For a first date, if I was to take Gavin on a first date, knowing who you are and all that, I would take you probably somewhere to do something fun that's a little different, such as, I hate to say it, but you've mentioned music and all that, and if I didn't know you already did karaoke, I would take you probably karaokeing. I would take you to a place where I could hear you sing and compliment you.
If you didn't know that I did karaoke, or if anybody didn't know that I did karaoke as a job and asked me to go on a karaoke date, I would say yes just to entertain them. And then at the end of the night, I would tell them, oh yeah, I do this like 10 times a week.
You know what you should do is say yes and then take them to one of the bars that you actually karaoke for, and everybody there already knows you. I mean it as in like,
the DJ's in here. Yeah, hey babe, can you help me carry this stuff in really quick? Just all my equipment.
Sorry, our first date is you getting put to work, but no, for real, like a first date is, I don't like to have it structured in the sense that like, oh, my first date's always dinner and a movie, or my first date's always.
I think movies are a horrible first date.
Movies are horrible.
Yeah, unless you're like in middle school or high school and you're just starting to date, I think it's all right then, because you're still awkward. You don't really have the communication skills yet. I think it's a fine first date. But once you start actually dating and really become an adult and have that confidence, stay away from movies for a first date. Do something where you can look at each other, where you can talk to each other, where you can interact with one another.
Look, the movies are great for like making out or like having fun in, but you can do that anywhere. And the movies are not. So if you're going to go on the movies on a first date, see what you could sneak into the movies together. And whoever snuck the coolest thing in, that way you know your first date is hilariously funny because you're both trying to get away with something. Like, it's just
try getting in for free. Just bring a ladder. Do you not know that? If you're carrying a ladder, you can get into almost anywhere for free.
I am going to challenge you on that. Gavin, we're going to set up a camera. We're going to go to the movie theater by you. And no. I don't give a shit about YouTube. I'm saying you and I you and I are going to carry a ladder. I have lots of ladders. I know people that have ladders, and we're going to go try to see a movie. All right? I'll even put on my overalls. So that way you and I, best first date experience, plus glass blowing, axe throwing, etc. I
that
see.
Sounds awesome. Where is that?
All of glass blowings in Ohio City, putts, a bunch of different places.
I'm talking about the axe throwing.
There's like 3 of them in Cleveland now. Yeah, and the one is a traveling one that I've had come to different events that we've done. I just have to look for their number. I forget his first name. Be happy to introduce you, buddy, because could you imagine you and her setting up? I believe if he switched where he stores everything, the Mark's not far from you. That's down Snow a little bit.
Yeah.
He used to park it behind the Mark's, and it's like a big, like, chain but gated, blah, and the axes aren't there or anything, but he has a phone number on there and everything, and that's how I found him. Is I made one wrong turn, but I'd rather go to like a festival, a fair, something where I can get outside and walk around. A date is not meant to be like I guess a date would have to be a romantic interest on both sides. If I take somebody who I'm just getting to know axe throwing, I'm going to be petrified that they're going to be the ones that throw the axe at me. Have you not heard how my first dates have gone? That's all I need. Like, dude, I got robbed by a homeless guy who took a heavy lid off and broke my back rib because he wanted to rob me. Oh, you've never heard that story?
Maybe I did, actually, now that you mention it. Maybe you did tell me.
It was Easter Sunday, had my restaurant. Yes. I thought so. Like, could you imagine my luck going somewhere with someone throwing axes? They'd be like the person that goes, sorry, B. Like,
I feel like it's more likely to ricochet off the wood somehow. Like it's all of a sudden made of rubber, and it just bounces back and hits you in the shin.
I'm rubber, you're glue.
Yep. Throw this axe, it sticks to you.
For me, it's the first date is you hear what the person's saying. B, would you prefer getting her to throw an axe at you on the first date or the 25th? Ooh, that's a tough question. Because I think if she's throwing it at the 25th date, we know that the relationship's not going to work. And if we've had 25 dates and she's just now starting to throw axes at me, I believe they call that marriage.
Fair enough.
the half a smile behind you, like, that was funny. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. So we have 10 minutes. We were going to play a game, and I don't think we have time to now. Do you?
Yeah. We can do a couple questions.
Let's knock them out, because if anything, we'll bring our guest in, and he could play with us.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, the game we're playing today is Family Feud. I'm going to ask you a question, and you have to try to guess what the most common answer is. We asked 100 Americans. I personally did not need it, Brand. We don't have time for that, but somebody asked 100 Americans these questions, and they all answered. So put down in the comment section what you think the most common answer is. We're not going to keep points for this one because there are no prizes, and also that's a lot of math. Are you ready?
Yes.
Name a house you never want to be in.
Name a house you never want to be in.
Name a house you never want to be in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 answers to this. What is the most common one?
A courthouse, a haunted house, Dracula's house, the White House.
Did somebody put the White House?
Yes.
That's funny. Oh, you did.
The doghouse or outhouse. Ooh, those are good ones.
All right.
I'm
going to give everybody 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The number one answer is haunted house.
Oh, Sherry McQueen.
Followed by jail/big house, dog house, drug house, small house. What the hell is a small house? Is that like literal or is that slang?
I have no idea.
Glass house, cat's house, and outhouse. Question number 2. Name something associated with vampires.
Dracula's house. I couldn't think of the
girl.
All right, so name something associated with vampires.
Associated with vampires, yes. Yes, we asked 100 Americans, and these were their most popular answers.
All right, do I read them?
Yeah, you can read off. You can read off people's answers, and I'll read off the most common answers.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Everybody got. Give them another minute. So, what is something? The first thing you think of when you think of vampires? Do you think of the fangs? Steaks. Good answer. Good answer, Stuart. Fangs right off the bat. Jaybird. A crucifix.
Crucifix is what it's supposed to be.
Okay, I did. Like I said, I misread everything.
Yeah, and unless he's talking about a spoof spinoff of a vampire situation.
Dogma. And then Twilight. That's the first thing I think of when I think of a vampire.
Nice. Are we ready?
I think so.
I'm gonna start at the bottom this time, and then make my way up to the top for the most popular. So at the very bottom we have Halloween, then Fangs, Dracula, Cape, Bat, Garlic, Blood/Bloodsucker, and the number one answer was Twilight.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. Yep. 33 people said Twilight.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sherry McQueen and I are tied for number one in this game. I seriously don't know the answers either. Oh, a coffin, holy water, bats. I could see Jaybird. We go to play it in a tournament somewhere, like a Family Feud tournament, and he's like, "What are things that you name something that you associate with Dracula?" Bats, coffin, holy water, bats.
Steve Harvey does that face where his bottom lip just like slightly lowers more than it should, and he kind of stares at the audience while his torso, neck, and head move as one solid object. He just stares confused. You know that look he does? Yeah.
Twilight, God, our country needs help. All right, next question. I'm ready. I've got my note cards here.
We asked 100 Americans. Name something in a bakery a baker might call his wife. Name something in a bakery a baker might call his wife.
I agree, Stuart. It shows the demographic they asked on that one. A baker calls his wife.
I think you know what. I think it more so shows the year that they asked rather than the demographic. Because I'm not sure when these questions were asked. If they were asked in probably 2012 to 2015, that would make sense. That's a very common answer.
Oh, look at CK and I. Uh-oh.
What are our answers?
All right, you ready? Sherry McQueen, sugar. Next one. Jaybird, sugar/pudding cake. I'm going to give him pudding cake. I say cupcake. Herzog says sticky buns. CK Ford, I will give her this if cupcake's the number one answer. She can have the points on this one. What is something a baker calls his wife?
At the very bottom, we have doughy.
No.
Don't call your significant other doughy.
No,
Dick.
Don't. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, what's the matter with you, Richard? Anyway, the next one, donut, sugar, muffin, cupcake is number 4.
Sugar was actually one of my top ones too.
Sugar was number 6. Sweetie/sweets is number 3.
No. I say no because sweetie/sweet.
Number 2 is his oven.
No. There's no way that is the number 2 answer.
9 people said it. 9 people said sweet/sweetie, and 9 people said his oven. Who in the hell is calling their wife his oven?
Who in the hell is calling their wife Stay Puff? The worst part is you said, what's the first thing you think of? And that was the first one. I just didn't write it.
The number one is honey/buns.
Does that mean we give that to Mike?
I think so, yeah. Sticky buns.
We have a three-way tie for first right now, guys. This is getting good. Sticky buns.
Sticky buns.
He laughs because I know that's his nickname for his wife. No, I'm just kidding.
I like the idea of Baker walking in past his wife in the kitchen and saying it like that, "What up, sticky buns?" and then smacking her ass, but his hand actually gets stuck.
Actually, I'm picturing it in my head.
Have you seen Superhero Movie?
Is it a cartoon?
Spoof. No, it's a spoof featuring or starring Drake Bell. And there's a scene where it's basically making fun of all the superhero movies, and he's playing a rendition of what's his name? Not Andrew Garfield. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man from the original Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
And there is a scene where his hands are sticking to everything, and he accidentally starts ripping people's clothes off. Yeah.
That's funny.
And that's what I thought of when I heard sticky buns.
That is funny. All right. Last one, because we have a three-way tie.
All right. We asked 100 Americans, name something in a person's closet that only comes out on special occasions. Name something in a person's closet that only comes out on special occasions. What do we got, people?
I don't know the answer.
There's only 5 answers for this one. Holy shit, that last one is dark. You keep those in the closet, Brendan?
Yeah.
Huh, I have a drawer for mine.
Everybody goes... Mike and I are like on sync today with each other. Like, I think he's doing this to play with me. Oh, that's funny. That was funny. Well done, Herzog. Made me laugh way too hard at that one. Oh my gosh.
He has a swing and an aisle with fertilizer, or lye and fertilizer. He just has a whole fair.
Yeah?
Just a whole kink fair in his closet, apparently.
I have a feeling CK Ford's going to get this one right. I
almost bought a pair of those, not going to lie.
Oh my god! Just because of our conversation last week?
No. I had a friend say that I should get some of them, and I thought about getting them just to surprise her as a joke because I couldn't tell if she was serious or not. And it came back up in conversation, and she's like, "Yeah, you're adorable, but don't get those." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I took them out of my Amazon shopping cart.
That is funny. So here's what we got. All right. So
yes.
Our guest has shown up. We'll be bringing him in the next minute or two. He's more than welcome to jump in on this game. Here's the question. Go ahead.
Name something in a person's closet that only comes out on special occasions.
First thing on the comment was sex toys, dress clothes, a hat. I mean, I get it. Mike says he has a sex swing in his closet. Nice to know my friends like this. He says Lee and fertilizer, a suit and tie, dirty socks, of course, and assless chaps that I apparently was talking about last week. I did talk about assless chaps.
So, but I'm going to go in a weird order for this one. There are 5 answers. Number 4 is dress shoes. Number 3 is jewelry.
Who keeps jewelry in a closet?
If you have like a jewelry box.
Yeah, that's on your counter.
Or maybe it's in the closet.
I
keep my watches in the closet.
You know what? I'm really glad we have a marriage counselor guy coming on today and going to be talking about this stuff because that's going to be my first question out the box.
So
where do you put that?
Number 2 is a dress. Number 1 is a suit/tux. And number 5 was a shotgun.
What was number 1?
Number 1 was a suit/tux.
I did not see that. Oh, Jaybird, we got a 4-way tie here now, buddy. What do we do? Do we just pause this game and bring it back?
We might have to bring it back another time, yeah.
You know what? We got a 4-way tie. It is me. No surprise. CK Ford. Wait, did she get one? Yeah, we're going to give her one anyways. Sherry McQueen, Mike Herzog, and Jay Bird. We have a 5-way tie right now just to be able to be like for the Family Feud. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest today. Excuse me. I have felt the cough come. I have solved the marriage problem. I teach couples how to create a lifelong marriages. Renewed Wall Street analyst Tim. I don't want to mess it up. Now I'm in my head because of Jessica's comments. Tim Kellis. And if I mess it up, Tim, blame Jessica Dugas. He takes on what could be considered society's biggest problem today. Divorce. Yes.
I'm going to say Kellis.
Kellis?
Yeah.
I went Kell, Kellis.
Kellis?
Yeah. Tim Kellis. And he's going to work with us on solving today's biggest problem, divorce. The journey that led him to taking such a significant issue was both personal and professional. After a successful career that eventually landed him on Wall Street, Tim met what he thought was the girl of his dreams, only to see a relationship end with a bitterness and anger. The journey included work with a marital therapist, and after he discovered the therapist wasn't really helping, he decided to tackle the issues himself. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really great to honor to introduce Mr. Tim Kellis. Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Very good, Brandon, and it's Kellis. You guys are hilarious.
I was trying. I was so I said it wrong earlier, and you were interviewed by the Breakthrough Show recently, and Jessica Dugas jumps in here every now and then too. She was like, "Oh, you're gonna love him," and then she gave me the phonetic way of saying your name, and I still said it wrong because she got in my head reading it while live on air. I'm like, ah! So I have to ask, first question, you heard it out the box. Where does a jewelry box go?
Well, I saw the comment that wealthy people put in their closets, but that's probably true. I'm not wealthy, so my jewelry box goes in the bathroom.
That's where mine is. For real, all of the jewelry. I don't wear much jewelry. It's usually pierced on me, what I wear. Nope. Exactly. And for me, it was I thought of a drawer. And then I'm thinking of relationships. I've been married. I've been divorced. Hell, I've been engaged and broken up with that. So I've seen jewelry boxes in multiple locations. I have never seen a jewelry box be in a closet. So this one threw me off on that one. Having that be the number 2 answer was just shocking to me.
Well, it's better than assless chaps, I'll tell you that.
You know what? That's probably true. But I bet they're both in the same closet.
Yeah.
I don't have assless chaps, so I know where they go.
Well, fine.
You hang them up right between the overalls and your tuxedo.
I was going to say tuxedo. That was my number 1 response.
Yes. I honestly, tuxedo was where I was going. I was picturing my suits, my everything. So, Tim, let's get on to your book and not focusing on our struggles of marriage and Family Feud. So talk to us about your book, Equality. It is the quest for a happy marriage, being someone who is divorced. The divorce rate is the highest it's been in history that they're able to know. Your average marriage nowadays is 50% of all marriages end in divorce, and it's on the rise. So how do we change this, Tim? Teach me how to fall in love with somebody and have them actually want to be with me.
Well, and that's a great question. Here's the way I start off the conversation, and the simplicity of what I'm about to say is the point of what I'm saying. The reason why relationships are successful is because couples get along. The reason why relationships are unsuccessful is because couples don't get along. It's really that simple. But that simple statement is the foundation for what I teach, is conflict resolution. Once you figure out how to resolve conflicts, it turns out the falling in love part's the easy part. The hard part is becoming friends with each other. That's what you need to learn how to become, is friends with each other. Mm-hmm. And when you get along, it's just like, the three of us, we're three guys, if we were buds, it sounds like you two are funny. You guys give each other trouble, but you get along. I mean, if you've got a conflict, you understand each other's perspective, that kind of stuff. Exactly. Exactly. Well, but there's no emotional content here in our relationship like there is in a loving relationship. And that's what makes it a lot more sensitive. And you need to really understand conflicts. I break conflicts down into their component parts and really make people, the goal is to make conscious what is unconscious, or else it appears as fake. That's one of the deep psychological comments that I made. But it's conflict resolution.
So with that being said, I honestly have to say, I'm an individual who I hate conflict, yet it seems to be very much prevalent today. It's everywhere, whether you're in a marriage or relationship or just a Yankees-Boston game like yesterday, the brawl that broke out. For me, I sit here and I say, conflict management is something that more and more people need to do. And you went to marriage counseling and all that. Do you feel that the marriage counselor helped in any way? No, why not? Oh, I'm going to run with this one. Now I'm on your side. Let's go. I'm going to be with you. Here we go.
I'll keep the answer short, but it's, I could talk about that topic forever. The foundation of the psychology industry today is called the biology theory, which is that we are animals, that we're not capable of thinking, that we only feel. And so when you go to therapy, the foundation of therapy is the how does it make you feel question. I actually have a transcript in my book of the last session I had with this therapist trying to save my relationship. And the guy asked me 6 times when I was trying to get him to solve the problem, how does it make me feel? Therapists are trained to be emotional. They're not trained to be logical. And that is the point. So, in fact, one of the things I'm doing, I like saying this to two guys, but one of the things I'm doing is I'm making relationships logical. One of the reasons why guys don't like going to therapy is because it's not logical. In fact, you'll go to a therapist and they'll say, how does it make you feel? And you'll think to yourself, how's this solving the problem?
Right.
Just sitting there talking about our feelings does not solve the problem. It defines the problem. I feel bad when she does this, and I feel bad when he does this, the feelings, but doesn't take you to the next step. Is what are you going to do about it? So therapists are not trained to be logical.
Yes.
The first step, though, is acknowledging what the issue is, then?
Oh, of course. Yeah. You have to define a problem first before you solve it. Yeah. But to define a problem without discussing a solution is being judgmental. And think about that statement alone. If you're sitting there, who's at fault? You're defining a problem. Remember, because all we're doing, Grant, when you say you don't like conflicts, if we were to discuss it, I would say you would probably say you don't like arguments. If you and I have a disagreement, again, it's logical. I've got my side, you got your side. You and I are going to start a business. I'm the accountant, and you want to buy a $5,000 computer. We can't afford it. So now we have a conflict. So how you and I, as buds and business partners, we're going to solve it logically. You're going to understand my side. I'm going to understand your side. Again, we don't have an emotional relationship like loving relationships. And that's why it's more sensitive and more emotional. That's why it turns into an argument in an emotional, loving relationship if you don't understand. Because then you get into the fears that underlies an argument. And then you realize that your partner's mad at you, not because of what you did, but because of a fear that was created most likely in their childhood with their relationship with their parents.
So with that being said, have you noticed that your relationships changed while you were writing this book? Were you able to figure out those boundaries in yourself that was built into the future? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
No. I was just going to say the work on researching and writing the book, which it took me nearly 2 years to do. Now, again, I'm a Wall Street analyst. It was a relationship of mine, as you said in the intro, excuse me, that didn't work out. But when we went to the therapist and that wasn't helping, that's when I decided to take on the subject myself. But the pain, so Brandon, you said you're divorced. One of the things that I like to joke about, and it's not a funny subject, but there's never been anybody who's ever said, boy, I enjoyed the divorce process. People will say they enjoyed getting divorced or they were happy that they got divorced, but nobody's ever said, wasn't that fun? That is a extremely painful experience to go through, and anything I can do to keep people from having to do that. So what I do is, for the first time, I address marriages mentally. No one's done that before. Everybody addresses it with behavioral advice, like the 5 love languages. And so what I'm doing is I'm addressing relationships mentally, and then also psychologically. The only reason why I can comfortably and confidently tell anybody that I had solved the marriage problem is because I forgave my parents when I was 25 years old. It turns out the biggest influence on a marriage is the relationship with the parents. That's where the belief systems come from.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the problems in marriages, most of them come from what was taught from your childhood.
Would you
your
say
parents got divorced, for example? Your parents got divorced. You have a fear now of your marriage ending, and unfortunately, whatever you're afraid of happening in your marriage actually happens.
So wouldn't you say that, from statistics, it shows that if you get divorced or if your parents are divorced, you actually have a higher statistic rate? Is that more mentally people telling themselves that because of their parents being divorced?
Of course.
So with that being said, my parents are still together. They love each other. And they really do. They do love each other. They just fight like all the time. Just like any couple married 45 years. It's the emotions, the life experiences, they add up over time. But how come some marriages, are people today being lazy and they're not being into the marriage as much as they used to be because it's more readily available to find new people, like dating apps?
Well, the reality is Martin Luther King was once asked what he thought was the problem with marriage. And his humble response was, "Oh, I don't know. I think they don't know each other very well and are afraid." And that summarizes the problems in marriages. We have become so afraid of marriages because we're in our second and third generation of divorce that there are people that don't get married. In fact, this girl that I fell in love with, we were living in Dallas. I lived in Dallas for a long time, and I used to joke that there were what I call professional single people. You know, the pretty people. You know, they would never open up to other people. They would go and get physical for about 6 months, but once the relationship started getting close, they would break up. Love is vulnerability. Vulnerability is the fear of getting hurt. When you fall in love with somebody, you get over that wall of fear and you open up yourself. At the beginning, it's called in the psychology world the false facade. You're putting your best foot forward, but what couples need to learn is bring up those things about themselves that they're not so proud of to talk about, knowing that their partner's not going to judge them. And that's what we need to learn. But we are afraid of relationships today. One of the things that I do when I teach couples is I lower the anxiety in their marriage so that they're more comfortable knowing that they know now how to create a successful marriage.
So with that being said, how do you start with that? How do you help people with this? Because I'm someone who, I am recently single. Gavin is too. Sorry, I pointed the wrong way. Gavin is too. And mine was we were both engaged to our significant others. And around the same time, we both kind of were like, all right, it's time to, we got to do something new for ourselves and build ourselves up. How do you start with a couple? Like a relationship that's been together and helping them build towards actually getting to that part where they're strong, equality? Well, the coolest thing that I do when I work with couples is I take them back to the beginning. The caveat of your question, Brandon, is that the two were actually in love at the beginning. If they were in love at the beginning, I actually explain psychologically what happens when two people come together and they meet and they fall in love. You meet your partner, your other half, you met your match, so to speak. And if people can go back to the way that they were at the beginning and then realize that they're going down the right path, not the wrong path. Again, it's unresolved conflicts. If you have a problem in your marriage, it doesn't go away unless you solve it. And you have to solve how do you solve the marriage problem unless you solve the marriage problems? And if you and Gavin were to go back and look at the reason why you guys broke up with your fiancés, there were some fears that were there, afraid of what's going on there.
No, she left me, yeah.
Well, regardless, I mean, but there was some fear there that motivated the person. Because, again, when you meet, you open up your soul, you start bearing your soul to the other person, and when you break up, you close that vulnerability down, and you no longer, expose things about yourself to the other person.
Very true. Jay Bird has a good comment here. He says dating is like an open house. You get all cleaned up with a fresh coat of paint. The flaws are discovered in the future. And being someone who's been a homeowner, I bought a couple different houses in my life, in my time. And I'll tell you this, there's houses that have a ton of problems that are covered by a coat of paint. And I've been in relationships. Gavin and I, beginning of the show, talked about bad first dates. And he had some fun laughing at some of my bad first dates. But it's true, though. When you start to get to know someone, you usually have a coat of paint on. You usually are covering up all those insecurities, all those trials or dramas that you don't want brought up in a relationship. With that being said, it's not like you can come out and be like, hey, I have a codependency issue, so let's get together and see if you can fix this. How do you do something to be open like that?
Great question. And the answer to your question is when you understand and learn how to address arguments. Okay, so let me explain that. I'll be short with this. But again, a disagreement is logical, a disagreement is problem solving, and a disagreement is forward looking. An argument is emotional, an argument is fault finding, an argument is backward looking. To argue with a person who has abandoned the use of reason is like administering medicine to the dead. Think about that for a second. Okay, Brandon, you're an idiot. Now, that is an argument that's an emotional base. And what is the solution to me calling you an idiot? There is, once you cross that logical line, again, you and I, you want to buy this $5,000 computer, and I say we can't afford it, and eventually I get to this emotional state where I give up the conversation. You're going through your side, I'm going through my side. Eventually, I'd say, screw it. It's because you're an idiot, right? You just won't listen to me. And that's an emotional comment. So the point about that is I call it the hierarchy of the argument. There's a process that we go through that leads to an argument. It starts with an insecurity. Again, mom and dad got divorced. Now you have a fear. That fear then leads to a prejudice. In fact, this is the first time you guys have heard this because this is one of my discoveries, one of multiple discoveries that's going to be new for the psychology industry. But it turns out our mental problems are prejudices. Again, mom and dad got divorced. Now I have I call them relationship prejudice. Now I have a preconceived opinion about marriage based on what my parents taught me about their marriage. Yeah, my parents stayed married like yours, Brandon. My dad's unfortunately no longer here, but my parents stayed married, but they fought. My paradox was divorce was never an option in my mind. But I wasn't going to stay married to somebody where we fought every day. And so that's the motivation to figure out that middle ground. So that prejudice then leads to becoming judgmental, which then leads to anger. And so what I'm doing is I'm connecting the dots between fear and anger. So let me give you the example that I use. You come home late from work and your partner gets mad at you.
Yes.
Think about that dialogue. Now the caveat here is you weren't out drinking with your buddies. You actually, you weren't doing something you weren't supposed to be doing, because if you are, you don't have a clear conscience to do what I'm about to explain to you. But you actually got that call at 5 o'clock. You were on the phone for an hour, forgot to call your wife on the way home. You get home and you're in trouble. Now, what is our natural response when that happens? Fight or flight, right?
Yep.
You're either going to respond in kind of, well, you're the jerk. I'm not the jerk. Or you're going to not say anything at all. Like you said, Brandon, you don't like, conflicts, but and quite honestly, because guys are less comfortable dealing with feelings than women are. It's one of the things that I teach. I'm not gay, not that there's anything wrong with it, as Jerry Seinfeld so famously said, because I realize that me being emotional is expanding my mindset and making me more of a partner when I also have an emotional side and a logical side. So the point is fight or flight. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm neutralizing the fight or flight syndrome, because you'll realize your wife isn't mad at you because you come home late from work. Your wife is mad at you because she has abandonment issues. She has low self-esteem. Maybe, again, mom and dad got divorced. It's her fear that's motivating her to get angry with you. So what you just did was you just triggered a nerve.
Yeah.
When you came home late from work, you triggered a nerve within her. And if people can simply learn and turn the conversation to what's the source of her fear, now you can find out the source of the fear, and then when you go through the forgiveness process, you can heal through whatever that experience or relationship was, again, mainly with your parents. that is the source of the fear. And once you eliminate the fear, then that anxiety goes away. And that's when you become more of a psychological support system for your partner, when you understand how to address conflicts.
And
So-
go ahead, Gavin.
In the beginning of a relationship, how do you differentiate between infatuation and genuine connection?
Experience. The difference between belief and knowledge is experience. You have to spend more time with it. So let me nerd out on you guys for a second here, but let me explain to you. Yeah, let me explain to you what happens when you meet a woman. Okay, for one, have you guys ever heard of Carl Jung?
Name sounds familiar. Why would I know that?
Carl, and it's Jung. Carl Jung was 19 years younger than Freud. Freud looked up to Jung so much that he not only considered him his heir apparent, but also his son. And as we know, Freud's theory is that sex is what motivates us. It's not true, but it's what Freud said. It's the foundation of the biology theory today. Freud and Jung had their famous breakup in 1912. Jung went much further than Freud did to discover how the mind works. One of my ultimate objectives is to ultimately replace Freud with Jung. So here, this is one of Jung's concepts. So within us guys, it's called the animus. Within a woman, it's called the anima. It's an unconscious motivation to meet somebody. Okay? At the beginning, there's no finite who that is, but one of the reasons why you date and you break up with somebody, they're called stepping stones.
Mm-hmm.
Because with what you said, Gavin, you have one of two choices with what happened. You can blame her, or you can say, what did I do that made her do what she did? I mean, this is what we're supposed to do as we go through the maturing process. We have to, at some point, figure out that maybe it's not the other person's fault, but maybe we contributed to it. And this is us learning. What we're doing is we're creating this unconscious vision. Again, it's called the animus in the man and the anima in the woman. And when you meet her and she meets you, you both have met your match. Your vision that you've been creating has now materialized with her. Her vision that she's been looking to meet has materialized with you. That's why, to be honest with you, Gavin, the answer to the question, the relationships that meet that end up being loving relationships and then go the distance, they're easy at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're falling in love with the person that you met. You're not falling in the person that they are, because you don't know who they are yet.
Yeah, but there's things about the good side of her that you're falling in love with. This, what you do at the beginning of the relationship is you do what I call character research.
Yeah.
Okay. Brandon would say, well, my mom and dad are still married. So a woman may look at that and go, well, that means that Brandon has a good thing about his upbringing because he didn't have to go through, and that's now a character. It's important to understand, Gavin, that we fall in love with somebody's character, but we fall out of love because of somebody's behavior.
Yeah.
Ooh, so wouldn't you say that is also, you're not falling in love, you're falling in lust then at the beginning almost?
Well, hey, I'm a red-blooded male just like the two of you. I mean, I love the visual of a hot, attractive woman. I mean, you have to be attracted to them first, and they're supposed to be that. Think about it if it wasn't there, if you didn't have that lust towards her. But then again, it's also, relationships are mental experiences.
Yes.
As you both know. I mean, the physical stuff is fun. Hey, I'm not giving that up, but the reality is that's why it's called love making, not sex. If you think about when you get intimate with somebody you really care about, it's an emotional relationship. I'll keep this story short, but I had this friend of mine. She was actually kind of a roadie to this alternative rock band, and I was there. They were shooting a video, a music video, and I was talking to the lead singer. And so this guy's a good-looking guy. Obviously had a lot of women, and he tells me that he never kisses women when he has sex with them. Because kissing is actually more intimate than sex is, because you're nose to nose, right? Yeah. You're real close. And so, prostitutes don't ever kiss the guys that they're having sex with, because that is being intimate. Sex is not intimate. Kissing is intimate. And so what the guy is saying when he said he never kisses them is he never opens up to these women. He just has physical sex with them. And to me, there's nothing more shallow than just the physical act of having sex. So there's no, once it's over, it's the physical act is done. But when you're connecting with somebody psychologically, including having that physical connection, that's when you're falling in love with somebody.
Interesting. So how long would you say there's a time frame it takes for someone to actually know that they're falling in love? A guesstimate. I mean, it's so just like men. So what does like Gavin caught that one? I saw the smirk. Then when you say
short.
Well, that would be like a first impression then.
There's falling in love at first sight and stuff like that.
No, I mean, it's similar to a first impression where when you meet somebody, if you like them very, very in a short amount of time right away. It's the same way when it comes to being intimate with somebody. You know that connection in a shorter amount of time because you naturally
it is shorter, but it's not. Most instances it's not immediate. I mean, you still want to get to know this person. You can meet some girl and she's hot as can be. I hate to be honest with you guys, but very attractive girls are some of the most messed up because they are judged by their looks. Everybody else, they don't get judged by what's going on inside of them. Women that are really attractive have a very difficult journey because they've got to figure out how to define themselves without, the physical attraction. And so you want to get to know somebody, beyond the physical attraction. You actually obviously have to be physically attracted to them at the beginning, but you also are supposed to get to know them.
Would you say love can happen at first sight? I mean, a lot of people have it happen with me. I walk down the street and I just get randomly people just marry me. It's men, women, dogs. It's amazing. But love at first sight is something that could be plausible. So today I have a lunch meeting and I could be walking into the lunch meeting and the waitress just looks at me and we see that chemistry right away. And instead of her being take me to the storage room, it could be hey, take my hand away, type of thing.
Yeah, but here's sort of the point of where I'm getting at it. Think about the beginning of those relationships that they were good. How long did you talk on the phone, right? I mean, you could talk for hours with this girl because you're getting to know each other, you're opening up to each other. Those are the type of connections that are sincere connections.
Yes. See, look, I got offered a marriage proposal right here,
How would you say
from Brad? Maybe not the kind of proposal you're exactly.
I mean, they call us BB. Go ahead, Gavin.
How would you say ignorance is bliss plays into relationships? The factor of how intelligent a person is versus how happy a person is in a relationship.
Well, what's interesting about it, and Brandon or wanting to mention, the dating apps or whatever. It's so funny everybody describes what they're looking for. Somebody's nice, somebody's intelligent, somebody's ambitious. I mean, the character traits that we're looking for, are pretty generic across the board on what we want in somebody. But somebody who's attractive, somebody who's intelligent, somebody who's happy. I would say somebody's happy with them because you really have to be happy with yourself first. Yeah. In order to really be happy in a relationship. And so to me, it's going to, but there's a maturing process that you have to go through in order to really be happy with yourself. Is this, you're laughing.
Jessica Dugas just chimed back in and she said, my husband and Brandon are actually actively trying to marry each other. And the funny thing is him and I have such a connection. We've never met face to face ever. It's always been digital, but him and I have this.
He's catfishing you.
Oh man, Jessica Dugas' husband's catfishing me. What does that make her? So I literally have made jokes to her when her husband's at work and we're working because her and I do a lot of work together. And then all of a sudden he comes home and she's filling him in and he makes the exact same joke I did. And it's we just crack each other up because it's this randomness of just him and I's humor hits the same way. So what was the thing that pushed you into, I have not read your book, and that's just me being 100% honest. I have your book here on Amazon for everybody to see, but what pushed you to writing a book about this and finding the quest for the happy marriage?
There you go. If you're having problems in your marriage, Do you think that the thing you're supposed to be doing is going and getting help from professionals?
So I feel that's a combination question, because as someone who I went to marriage counseling and absolutely despised it. It felt like it was two people against one. I felt I was
behavioral based. It's your fault, their fault. They're the ones. Again, to define a problem without discussing a solution is being judgmental. You'll find therapists, because they're only focused on behavior, are just as judgmental as the couples in the therapy.
Correct. And I think that it's one of those things where, like, for me, if you could get through all right, so Tim, you and I want this new computer, all right, in business, since we're using this analogy. Oh, by the way, everybody, don't forget to go check out Tim's book. It's on Amazon, links right there for everybody. Boop, don't want to not forget to promote you, buddy. But we want this computer. And instead of us like yelling and wanting to kill one another and be like, it's $5,000, you effing idiot, and stuff like that. If you and I sit through it and we're able to have a conversation and you show me and I show you exactly where it is, and there's no emotion. It's literally this conversation we're having here. My mom the other day, just a good example, she was trying to make a point on something, but she chose her words that were like daggers. And it wasn't making anything easier in the conversation. It was focused on making sure I understood where she was getting her jabs and her stabs in. And I told her, I go, Mom, did you grow up in like the jail? Because you shank people all the time. Good Lord. My dad did the same thing you did. And I'm like, but the words that we choose behind the emotion is now you're judging what that person's trying to say with their condescending tone or whatever, and figure it out. How do you balance that without getting too emotional behind it, especially as men?
You have to understand that arguments are control mechanisms. Mm-hmm. Your mom was not trying to figure out the solution that both of you understood. Your mom was trying to force her belief onto you. That's why she was digging at you whenever you weren't, responding the way she wanted you to. So that's what I mean. To argue with a person who's abandoned the use of reason is like administering medicine to the dead. Once she's sticking those daggers in you, once she's trying to slice and dice you in an effort to try and force her belief onto you, that's the end of the conversation, because you can't solve an argument. Again, because what you were doing, Brandon, you're saying, you raised in jail, you were bringing the conversation back logical. She was digging at you, and she was, hitting on your weak spots or nerves or whatever. And what you were doing is you were responding. Now, bear in mind, women are more emotional, men are more logical in the generic sense. And when it comes to a day-to-day relationship, it's understanding the emotional and the logical side. But you can discuss emotions logically. I feel this way when you do this. I feel this makes me feel this way, as opposed to using your arguments to control the dialogue. But arguments are control mechanisms. That's what they're doing. What we're doing is we're neutralizing the power drive. Where there are no distinctions, there can be no superiority. Perfect equality affords no temptation for abuse and control. If your mom was actually trying to get you to understand her side, she would have stayed logical, even though she's can discuss the emotions if she's trying to explain something emotionally. But it's also important to understand that logic and emotions are two different things. But you still discuss your logic and you discuss your emotions logically. But once you abandon the logic, once you abandon the use of reason, it's like administering medicine to the dead. You can't solve that problem, because as you realize, as you reflect on the conversation with your mom, it wasn't a matter of trying to figure out what is the point that's trying to get across here. It was a matter of your mom trying to force her belief onto you.
And that's the other thing I was going to say is, what if they don't know what their belief is? They're just fighting to fight at times, because you're talking, my mom and I have, 38 years of me growing up from a child to where I am today. And there's things that I can do that would trigger her back when I was a kid that maybe were triggers back for her dad. And I think that that's also part of it, is knowing when you're in those cycles and being able to break those. That is a really tough thing for a lot of people. And words are very careful. I say it a lot. Like, when you choose certain words, are you choosing it to keep the conversation going, or are you choosing it to get that dagger in there. Cause like my mom's daggers are great. And I learned how to choose words very carefully to make people break down. And when fights, or disputes, you should not be focusing on the emotions behind it. You should be connecting through each other on what's going to get the best outcome. At least that's my opinion.
Well, let me give you a very poignant response to that.
Perfect. I'm all about you.
This one's going to cut. This one's going to be. This is going to be a sharp one. The difference between somebody who is intelligent and somebody who is ignorant is one of them knows they're ignorant. Think about that for a second. It's the person that thinks they know everything who's the most ignorant person in the room. It's the person that realizes that they don't know everything is the one that's the most intelligent one in the room. It's a counterintuitive thought process. When you think you know everything, you're the most ignorant person in the room. But if you can open your eyes up to realizing maybe I don't know everything, then you're more opening up to learning. Again, you and I are talking about this computer. There's obviously a solution that's not going to be zero and it's not going to be $5,000. So you and I both have to think differently. You have to think why you can't have a $5,000 computer, and I have to think why you can't not have a computer at all. So when we figure out to compromise with the solution, both of us have had to look at our situation differently. We both have had to think outside the box and had to think differently than we thought of coming into the dialogue.
Correct. And with that being there, your analogy you used at the beginning was the family, like you just get home from work and you didn't call the wife and da-da-da-da. With that, there's all that extra energy of the emotions from work and everything else. You have to be able to know when you walk in the door, it's like you have to take it off and just leave it there and know that it's a totally different thing. And I think that's something that a lot of us as men have a hard time letting go of, because we still come home and I'm just like, let me have a half hour to reset myself.
Well, and that's actually a good piece of advice that I give people is let their, don't walk in and automatically the kids did this, you got to go do this, they got to go do this. It just gives some sort of little period of time while you get home to be able to transition to a different mindset, because the home mindset's different than the work mindset. Exactly. There needs to be a little time before the conversation starts when you get home. But these are little things to learn to really help with the marriage.
So really quick, how long has your book been out for?
Well, the book's been out for a while, but to be honest with you, I don't really sell the book. The book is part of my workshop. I have a 2-month weekly workshop, because the book is, you've got the Amazon, you can see some of the reviews there. The book is too complicated for most people to read on their own and be able to understand the concepts. Like when I get into the Carl Jung stuff, it's very deep, and I'm there to explain the point he's trying to make when he talks about he discovered himself at 12 years old. Carl Jung discovered himself at 12 years old. Most of us never figure out why we're on this planet. And so you have to explain what it means. Again, Gavin, why are you here? Brandon, why are you here? Tim, why am I here? This is a question that we are all supposed to be asking ourselves. It took me literally 30 years as an adult, living in 9 cities, having 5 different careers before I realized, remember, I'm abandoning a Wall Street career to do this. I'm abandoning a very, very successful, very, very profitable career in order to do this, because this is more important to me than working on Wall Street is. And so it's taken me decades to figure that out. This is where one of the things that most of us as adults have difficulty dealing with is patience.
I 100% agree with that. Patience is something that a lot of people I don't think a lot of people have. And for me, I would go, I know I have to work on my patience every day. And that's kind of funny. That's what my mental health Monday was about yesterday, is slowing down. I talked about how, I use the analogy of how my reputation is I go 100 miles an hour at all times, and how if I was a car, I would be broken down. I'd be out of gas, out of money, and completely destroyed on the side of the road if I didn't take care of myself properly. That's self-love and all that. Go ahead.
But a balanced ego is not when you're better than anybody else. A balanced ego is when you're better than you used to be. And what that does when you learn that, what it does when you learn what it means to be balanced, is it means that you're the only one who defines who you are. This is why you've got to go through the release of those negative relationships from your upbringing, again, mainly with your parents. When you go through and let go and disconnect from those negative emotions, you are no longer having your parents define who you are from your upbringing. And that's the first experience of now you're on your own. And this is what we all know this, Brandon. I mean, we're the three of us are adults now. We know that, you guys, I'm not trying to upset you, and I really won't do anything to try to upset you. But if you get mad at me, you don't define me. So go ahead and get mad at me, but it's not going to affect me. I'm the only one, because it requires you living morally, though. Once you do something you're not supposed to be doing, I mean, Gavin, and I'm joking, Gavin, you're out cheating on her and she breaks up with you. I mean, that's a problem. But if you're doing the right thing, then you're the one that defines you. And that's one of the ways that you can learn to be patient, because I don't need anybody else's, definition of who I am any longer. It's me. I'm the only one that defines who I am.
So what my question was, because I asked one question, how long it's been out? You talked about the program, which I did not know about, so it's great you mentioned that. How have you seen that affect the friends and family around you, but then your life specifically as well, and the relationships that you've had after doing this research and this program and putting out this information?
Well, personally, I've practiced what I preach. It's been awesome. But I will tell you, professionally, what's going on with me right now. I belong to an organization called the Mentor Studio. It was founded by a guy by the name of Michael Silvers, who created the Peak Performance Coaching Program for T. Harv Eker, and a girl by the name of Mary Glorfield, who was Tony Robbins' VP for 18 years. So I am basically working right now to start getting on big national stages. So I am taking my mission is to lower the divorce rate in this country, and I can't do that one at a time. The only way I can do that is start getting on big stages and presenting it to large numbers of people. And that's where this whole mission that I'm going on is taking me. I have solved the marriage problem. Nobody else has done that. I'm first to market with the solution. And if you guys look back on the whole technology world, being first to market is everything. And I'm going to take that first to market advantage to basically go out and change our entire culture of marriage in this country. That is my mission. And that's what I'm working on now.
How has that gone for you? Because divorce is on the I got divorced 10 years ago, and I know that it was on the rise then. It was just under 50%, and I think it just passed 50%. One of the things that interests me the most on that is how the divorce rate for certain people is higher than others, meaning like the church-going people, the divorce rate's actually higher than it is non-church-going people. I love how he laughs. He's like, yeah, I know. It's like, but my thing is, why would that be that? That's the spot that you'd think you'd go to find those answers.
Well, let me before I answer the question, let me put this foundation for the dialogue. One of the things that I've done recently is I've discovered Clubhouse. And one of the things I've done on Clubhouse, audio only app, people that are experts can go and talk and have people listen. That's all Clubhouse is. And so what I've done is I've collaborated with about 20 or 30 other marriage experts. Clubhouse allows you to add 13 co-hosts to a room. So every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I host a room, and I have about 13 other marriage experts that join me on my room. And not all of them show up, but I invite them. And the point is there's not a single licensed therapist who has joined this community that I've created. Okay, because they're not into solving the problem, they're into defining the problem. I actually had a Clubhouse call. The title of the call was How to Spot Red Flags for a Narcissist. And this licensed therapist spent an hour talking about the character traits of a narcissist, even giving an exit strategy for leaving that person. Never once, not a single comment on what was the cause of the person being narcissistic or what to do about to solve the problem. That is not the way that therapists think. But I will tell you that most of the other people that I've collaborated with on Clubhouse have a have a biblical background. Okay, so in fact, because one of the problems, to be honest with you, again, the issue is control. We used to be in charge. If we were married before the 60s, there was no divorce because you and I are in charge. Our wives were subordinate to us. We were responsible for the finances. We were responsible for making decisions. We were responsible for logic. The woman was emotional. She was responsible for raising the kids. She was responsible for the environment in the home. That was the definition of a patriarchy marriage that existed until the education and employment of women. So now it's control. That's what this is. It's a control issue. So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out how to neutralize the power drive, but that's not been clarified for couples yet to figure out how to do that. So that's in essence what I'm doing is I'm neutralizing the power drive. But it's control, and we all know that. One or both is trying to control the outcome of the relationship. So once you figure out, it's a partnership. It's a partnership. It's a 50-50 partnership where both have an equal say, but recognize that a partnership is you have your skill sets and your partner has his or her skill sets. Well, that's one of the biggest problems is people think they want their partner to be just like them. You do not want your partner to be just like you. That's boring. You actually appreciate those differences of your partner because that's what makes us unique, is those individuals.
So how long have you and your wife been together, and then how did she help you along with the journey and the book writing, if at all?
Well, I will. She's asked me not to talk about her, so I don't really talk about it. It's one of the things you'll recognize is that I don't really talk about where this is going. I'm keeping that part separate. Because bear in mind, if I were to come out here and say, I'm happily married, life is perfect, what is the value in that? The value isn't my successful relationship. The value is the relationship that wasn't successful, because that's where I learned all the lessons. So it's those experiences that I had with a relationship that didn't work out that led me to doing this.
So I was just curious, you have been, would you get married again? That's my question I have to ask, just because being someone who's divorced, I get asked that a lot. Would you get remarried? And
the reality is you are going to have this motivation to meet a woman. Whether you repress that motivation is your choice. And a lot of people, as they get older and go through the painful experiences of a breakup, start shutting down the ability to open up, and it's really sad. When I say I've solved the marriage problem, when I'm having that conversation one-on-one with people, about 75% of the time, the response back is don't get married. And when somebody says, when I say I've solved the marriage problem, and they immediately jump back, don't get married, they're saying everything about themselves. They're saying that their mindset on marriages right now is so fearful that they're not going to open themselves up. Because what you'll find happening, Brandon, is you'll go meet a girl that may be somebody that you're interested in, but you'll realize that you're going to be, do I really want to open up to her? Do I really want to expose myself? And once you stop continuing down that journey of exposing yourself, then you basically, the way I describe courting, if you guys remember the teeter-totters when we were kids. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And remember when you used to try and figure out how to sit on the teeter-totter where both of you were able to balance the teeter-totter? So you were able to sit there and you didn't do this, you just sat there? That's courting. And so what you're doing is you're walking down, both of you slowly walking down that teeter-totter, and if one goes too fast, you're going to imbalance the teeter-totter, and then the other one's going to go backwards. So you guys got to continue down that journey on the teeter-totter, keeping that teeter-totter balanced where both of you go at sort of similar speeds. And if once you stop that, then the other person's going to do this. They're going to read that. We're very intuitive on the way that somebody we're interested in is responding, whether they're continue to open up or not. So if you are going to become fearful of a new girl that you meet, you're going to refrain from walking down that teeter-totter.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to be comfortable enough with your wife where you started to open up with her to the point where you said, this is the person I want to be with? And was there a moment when you decided, yes, this is who I want to be with, and you decided I'm going to start getting ready to propose?
Well, what's interesting about that question, Gavin, is I'm an engineer. I'm taught to solve problems, and it has to do with development. And one of the things you learn when you understand what I'm talking about is the concept of mental development. My biography won't be finished until my obituary, and only God knows my real name. I have focused on this subject for 20 years, and I'm becoming more and more comfortable with who I am and what I'm looking for. Exactly. So when she came in it was easy to see that, what she had and what I was looking for, that kind of stuff. It's easy when you know what you're looking for, but that is the point, is when you're happy with yourself. Because here's one of the big profound points, Gavin. If you want somebody who's nice, you have to be nice. Because if you're not nice, you don't appreciate them. If you want somebody who's smart, you have to be smart. Because if you get someone who's smart and you perceive yourself as not smart, her intelligence will be used against her. You won't appreciate the value of this. You have to become the person that you want to find. So if you want to find somebody who's nice, because if you're nice yourself, you will appreciate them more than if you're not nice and they are nice. You'll use that against them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so when you find that somebody who is the perfect person for you in your mind, then I guess I'll rephrase the question. How did you know that you felt comfortable enough to trust that you were that person to her?
Well, we're both very similar. First girl I've ever gone out with a graduate degree. Most ambitious girl that I've ever gone out with. Very sincerely sweet and nice. These character traits are what I realize is what I'm looking for. But the thing that I've learned is when there's the conflict and the anger. It surprised her that I never responded in kind when she would get angry. And so we're basically, when you neutralize that angry response, then you basically take anger out of the conversation. And that's one of the things that I realized is that relationships are managed by the lowest common denominator. And what I mean by that is the person with the biggest insecurity is the one that yells the loudest, and that's usually the direction that's dictated in the relationship. With the "what are you afraid of" question, what that does is that makes the person who's more grounded and more mature the one that's going to be able to determine the direction of the relationship. And what they're doing is they're taking the relationship in the right direction, as opposed to the person that's got the big insecurities that are taking the relationship in the wrong direction. And when you learn that skill set, the what are you afraid of question, that is the question that neutralizes an argument. Then you're able to take that conversation and change the direction and move it in the right direction. Because you realize, again,
you have a lot in common. Then you're pretty similar as far as mentality. Then, did she make the first move then at any point? Was she the one making the first moves at all?
Again, I don't really want to talk about her and I, but I'm
I just want to hear a bit of the. I guess being so young, I'm very curious on the success story and how it's worked.
I'm the guy, so I took the I'm the one that initiated stuff.
Gotcha,
so
gotcha. Did it ever throw you off if she did initiate anything then?
I'm the one that basically took the situation and took it where it needed to go, took the direction of the relationship where it needed to go. So, but I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing it, with kind gloves. I'm doing it in a loving fashion. Yeah. You can take your relationship in the direction you want to take it in if you're doing it in a loving fashion. Like Brandon, if your mom would have said, and you didn't really elaborate what she said, but if she would have come to you up, you said, "You're my favorite son. I really love you so much. You're everything to me. And by the way, this." If she would have said it in that fashion, as opposed to the dig in the way that she does, she probably would have got the outcome that she wanted if she would have approached it that way.
Sorry, I'm muted. My dogs are barking, and I didn't want that to interrupt.
Oh no, not at all. I love this conversation. I can talk about this stuff. Again, I'm going to lower the divorce rate. I'm putting my foot down. It's about time that people learn how to create successful marriages. The 5 love languages does not do that. That's behavioral advice. In fact, just to give you an example, if Gary Chapman wanted to write a book that was actually helpful, he would have written a book that would have stated both should do all 5 love languages. The reason why somebody picks one is because they either didn't have it in their childhood or their partner's not giving it to them because their partner didn't have it in their childhood, then they would actually introduce a psychological component to the book. But there's no psychological component to any relationship books written by psychologists that I've ever read, which quite honestly blows your mind. So when I address this psychologically and mentally, it's I'm the first person to approach it that way. And so if I can teach people because all the stuff we're talking about, there's no behavioral advice. It's one of the most fascinating things couples discover when they work with me is I'm not giving behavioral advice. Brandon, that's what you experienced when you went to a therapist. They're talking your behavior, her behavior, quit drinking and it'll solve the problems. That's the one that they're AA advisors now, because a lot of people are having alcohol in their relationships now, and when they're not working, the reality is we know we want to be happy, and if we're not happy in our relationship, we're going to find other outlets.
So in the future, then, do you plan on writing another book, maybe, that would explain your journey after you've discovered all this? And I know you don't want to talk about her name or anything like that with your marriage, but maybe talk about how it has changed your life with your significant other and how you two have been able to grow from what you've learned over the years.
That is something that I'm thinking about doing. But again, me coming out and saying I'm in this perfect relationship, that doesn't solve any problems. That's just be positive. That's kind of
you solve the problems in your book, and then you coming out and saying this is the product of these solutions. That just adds. That's like the final nail in the coffin of that credibility. Saying, look, not only am I saying this works, I went through the fails, I went through the heartbreak, and this is what I've gone through to get to this right here, which is what everybody wants to be at and everybody wants to see.
Well, that's actually what I do with my work. In fact, I have a very let me explain to you the message that I use that I end when I do my seminar, my workshop. It's a poem, and the poem is titled "Roses: A Love Story," and I'll just summarize it. But an older couple, husband dies.
Yeah.
After the husband dies, the wife gets roses on Valentine's Day. Okay. She trims the stems and places them in a very special vase. She sits the vase beside a portrait of a smiling face. She would sit for hours in her husband's favorite chair while staring at the picture with the roses sitting there. A year later, Valentine's Day, she gets roses again. She calls the florist shop and asks the florist why someone would do this to her, causing her so much pain. I know your husband passed away more than a year ago. The roses you received today were paid for in advance. Your husband always planned ahead. He left nothing to chance. There's a standing order I have on file down here. He's paid well in advance. You'll get them every year. Then there's a note that he left her where he talks about how much he loved her. She was his best friend. But you must go on. You have some living still. I hope you find happiness while you live out your days. I know it won't be easy, but I hope you find some ways. The roses will come every year, and they will only stop when your door's not answered, when the florist comes to knock. He will come 5 times that day in case you've gone out, but after his last visit, he will know without a doubt to take the roses to the place where I've instructed him and place the roses where we are together once again. That is the message that I end when I work with couples. And what I'm doing is I'm explaining. Because when you guys gotta understand, when you guys are asking these questions, the time focus of your questions is so narrow. It's everybody. They're looking at today. They're looking at what does this mean to me today? Do you realize that, we are probably, you guys probably have 2 or 3 new careers in 2 or 3 different, you guys don't know where your journey is, you don't know where you're going to be 5 years from now. I can tell you probably be different in 5 years from now than you are today. And that's why people lose sight of the long-term journey that they're on together. And what I'm doing is I'm conveying to couples this lifelong mission. So when I say I teach couples how to create lifelong marriages, that's what I mean. So that message is a fundamental message, Gavin, in what I'm teaching today. So when I'm done working with people, they will know the secrets to success on how to create a lifelong marriage. But I learned it based on a relationship that did not work out, not based on a relationship that did work out. And that is really the point that I want to answer your question with.
Are you still learning that?
Always learning, absolutely. I learn every day. That's the point. I'm the most ignorant person you'll ever meet because I realized I don't know everything, and I am always open-minded to learn new. And if we could teach people that they don't know everything, then they're more willing to listen to their partner and maybe incorporate what their partner believes into what they believe. Unfortunately, right now with arguments, couples aren't trained to do that.
Gotcha. Oh, wow. Brandon, look at the time. That was fast.
I literally was like, I'm giving one more thing, and then I'm going to have to jump in here because of the time. So, Tim, at the end of every show, because we're in actually the last 10 seconds, so this is going to be quick, we do a goodbye that gives everybody inspiration for the day. Like a feel-good message to a favorite quote to anything that you would want people to take with them. So I'll go first, then Gavin, and then you. That way you see how it's done. But Tim, I want to start by saying thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, don't forget to, where did I put it? I have it right here. Don't forget to go check out Tim's book and his link right here on Amazon. If you have questions, you can connect with Tim on Twitter. I believe this is the correct link. My moderator went and pulled it to make sure we got the right one. Tim, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I thank you for coming on today, my friend. You brought a great energy, and being someone who is divorced and all that, I think you're summarizing and trying to change a very, very tough market. But guess what? There always was someone that needed to start it. So keep doing you, buddy. Keep building that what you're doing and fight that fight, because there's so many people that need it. All right, so goodbyes. Here we go. Excuse me. So guys, it's Tuesday, and we just had a really fun conversation all about marriage and building up and all that. But all of it starts with you. You have to be able to love yourself, know yourself, and be the best you can. If you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm fucking cool. Yeah, that's right. I used it, Gavin. Everybody gets one. But if you can't look in the mirror and tell yourself that and believe it 100%, maybe you're not meant to be out there dating and married. Because right now, there's enough angry people out there that have codependency issues. Take a moment to look in the mirror and make sure you can believe in yourself.
So what I'd like to leave everybody with today is when you meet somebody new, it's exciting. It's a breath of fresh air, and it's also scary. However, you're not going to learn anything unless you take that jump. And every time they meet that person, whether it's a man or a woman, old, same age as you, maybe a little younger, do your best to be as open and honest with them as possible. Because one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to accept that honesty, or they're not. And if they don't, then you move on. It might hurt, it might not, but you move on and you try again with another person. And if they do accept it, then you continue that open and honesty, and you just hope that you don't see the day where they no longer accept it.
So let me end my piece this way. The goal isn't to find love. That turns out to be the easy part. The goal is to discover the barriers that you have within yourself that keep you from opening up to love. And that is when you get into the psychological component of your relationship. Try and find out what's inside of you that's keeping you from fully opening up to your partner, instead of trying to blame your partner and saying it's all their fault. So find out what is inside of you that's keeping you from fully opening up to your partner.
100%. 100%. Guys, great episode today. Tim, thank you again. Check Tim out. I'm going to be tweeting you. I'm going to make sure I have fun picking on you. I'm going to tell all my comedians to send, go right away and just start tweeting you. Guys, this is a great episode. Do us a favor, like, comment, and share. Get it out there and hit that subscribe button. So, Tim, thank you so much. And
thanks,
guys,
Brandon and Gavin. Appreciate it, guys.
You got it. Have a good one, guys. See you tomorrow morning.
Take care.